After 140 days, my Franchi Affinity Elite has finally made it back to me. I sent this in 140 days ago to Benelli for some Cerakote work. There was some Cerakote that was chipping off of the receiver. You can see that in a previous video. I'm going to go ahead and unbox this now and we'll take a look at how this looks in here. But let me go ahead and get my knife. Do want to mention though, if anybody's interested in sending me a nice unboxing knife to use on the channel, feel free to do that. I will pop my P.O. box up on the screen as well as linked in the description down below. So I'll go over a few of the details on what the warranty process actually entailed as well. But first of all, let's go ahead and open this box up and see how it looks. It did come in another brown box. I actually thought that was the gun potentially in there, and this is the box that I had sent it in. So I didn't know if I was going to get my original orange Franchi Affinity box back. So I haven't opened this up yet, so you guys are seeing this the first time with me. We'll see how it pattern tested, the pattern with it. So, there you go, you can see this. It actually looks like it patterned a little low to me. So it looks like most of the bulk of that pattern is down here. I'm sure they have a little bit more information in the notes that they sent to me on this, but it's kind of interesting because I actually usually am hitting a little bit high with this gun. I'm sure that is because of me shouldering it though. That's one thing that I really want to work on this year, is shouldering correctly, getting it nice and firm in the same exact spot every single shot. Again, this is my going on 3rd season of duck hunting. We are just around the corner. It is July 27th, so we are about a month away from early teal season. So it's going to be happening very soon. Alright, let's go ahead and open this up a little bit further. Looks like all new choke tubes in here, which that's interesting. I did not send my choke tubes in with the gun, I'm pretty sure I didn't, as well as the stabilizer. We have the bolt handle, all the shims, and I'm not exactly sure what this is. This looks like you can maybe switch out the fiber optics on the end and choke tube wrench. So that's interesting. At this point I'm almost wondering if this is a completely new gun or if they sent me my same gun back again. We'll be able to tell from the serial number on the side of the gun. Let's go ahead, we'll pop the barrel out first. So, got the barrel. Let's go ahead, get this out of here. Alright, I'm noticing differences already. I had sent this in with the True Lock sight that is red in the center and then green around the outside, so that's definitely a different sight than I had on here originally. It's a 12 gauge 3.5 inch, so that's good. At least I got a 3.5 inch. Little bit of powder in the barrel. Not sure if you guys can see that, but could tell that they definitely did test fire it. And that's from this pattern right here. Alright, continue on here. Here it is. So, looks all nice and new. Cerakote is definitely in perfect condition again. I have the serial number right here. I'm going to go back and reference this real quick and actually make sure that this serial number matches up with the same gun that I had sent into them originally. Alright, so after going back and looking at both the serial number on the barrel and on the receiver, I got some information here. This serial number here is the same exact barrel that I did send in. I can definitely tell that this has been re-cerakoted because I had a lot of oil on this and it was pretty nice and shimmery. Now it's kind of that dull look once you put some oil on here. It looks a little bit more shiny. The interesting part though is the serial number right here on this receiver is different than the gun that I sent in. So they have sent me a different receiver. I'm not sure what else is exactly different. If I got a new bolt and everything else is different, I would almost say it might be because of them not putting the counterweight back in. No, it's kind of hard to tell based on just that information. Can't tell if this was my old counterweight. The only other thing I might be able to tell is if I take the screws out of the buttstock here, mine were starting to get a little bit rusty on them. That's definitely a spot that you want to make sure that you put oil on. So maybe I'll go ahead and I will take the screws out of that. But I'm also going to give Benelli or Franchi a call and see what ended up happening with this and why they sent me a new receiver. There is some information here on the notes that says replacing da-da-da-da-da. It says my serial number here with this new serial number. So I'm actually going to give them a call and see what was exactly replaced, if it was just the receiver that was replaced or if there's anything else that has been replaced on this gun. We'll go over the timeline real quick here though. I sent this gun out on March 9th of 2021. So Benelli acknowledged that they received it on the 15th, so just a couple days later. I know it was delivered there on the 11th, so that was a couple days timeline for them to actually go through the process of receiving it. From that time, they said that it would be about 45 days for them to put it on the bench, go over it, see what needed to be done to it, and ship it out. Actually, it took them 78 days. I know we're in COVID right now, so I'm going to give them a little leeway here that maybe they were short-staffed, and that's probably what happened. So 45 days to 78 days, almost double the time that they said it would take. But after that, they shipped it on the 1st, on June 1st, to Tarjac. Tarjac is in New York. They do a lot of the Cerakoting, and they do this burnt bronze finish. So that was shipped on the 1st, and they received it on the 15th. So about 15 days there. Not sure if they should wait to ship these out in bulk, but once Tarjac received it, they said also that it would take them 45 days to re-cerakote it and ship it back to Benelli. Tarjac received it on the 15th, and I got a notification from Benelli that it was on my way back to me, that it was on its way back to me on the 21st. So that's 36 days turnaround time. So Tarjac was actually underneath their 45-day turnaround time. And from the time that I shipped this out to the time today that I just got it back was exactly 140 days. So July 27th is today. That's kind of the timeline of what happened. I did call Benelli and get a little bit more information on the receiver here and why it was chipping. They did acknowledge that there was a couple units on the early production model. Again, mine was one of the very first ones to go off the line. I purchased this as soon as it came out. That they did have a couple that has this imperfection that did have Cerakote that would chip off them. It was a very small number in the broad scheme of things of how many units that they actually made and shipped. This is not a reason that I would not buy this gun. I love this gun. I would recommend this to anybody. You'll actually see coming up on the season that my dad just bought this gun 2 months ago. So this is the gun he's going to be using this season as well. We're going to have to figure out a way to be able to tell the difference between his gun and my gun. But yeah, it's going to be definitely a great season. I do want to mention too, if you guys are looking for a ShotKam, I'm going to be putting the ShotKam back on this gun as soon as I reassemble it here, just in a couple minutes. I got to remember how far down the barrel I put it. I think I usually went around 7 inches. I had that marked on my old barrel. Probably go back and actually see if I can recall how far down that was the barrel again to mount this in the exact same spot. But yeah, like I was saying, ShotKam, there's a link in the description down below that will take some money off of the purchase if you're looking at getting one of these. I highly recommend them. In the next video I do, probably in the next month I'm going to release it, is all of our ShotKam compilations from last year. A lot of great footage in there, and this is a great tool for seeing where you missed, why you missed. Could be as simple as you're not shouldering it right every time, you're kind of all over the place. Maybe you're always high, maybe you're always low. You won't know unless you use a product like this. So make sure you check out my other ShotKam videos. A lot of great information there, and as you probably already know, I have a ton of information on my Franchi Affinity Elite. Everything from patterning it, to shimming it, to assembling it, to cleaning it. A 40-minute video on tearing it down, cleaning it, and reassembling. But I'm done rambling now. I'm going to go ahead, give Benelli a call, and see what happened to this gun. Alright, so I did get a hold of Benelli. One of the nice things is when you actually call the customer service, you don't get put on hold for 30 minutes like some of the airlines and other travel places right now. Get a hold of them within a minute. Got a couple answers now. So, yes, of course, this is the same barrel. They put on this new high-vis sight. Also have a couple different options for different color and size of diameter if I want to swap this out. And the reason they did this is because the gun was shooting high for me. So now as you look at that pattern test, it's actually shooting a little bit low. So with me shouldering probably differently how I do, I was shooting high. Now with this new high-vis sight, shooting a little bit lower on its point of aim. Hopefully I should be right on target. We'll be able to test that this week. I'm going to be taking this back out, throwing the ShotKam on, shooting some clays, and seeing how on I really am. We did a pattern test with Dad's brand new shotgun last week, and he was spot on the bullseye, so it's going to be an exciting season. Next up, they were a little confused about why the serial number did not match on the receiver, but they dug into it a little bit, and this is a completely new gun receiver, bolt, all the internals here are all brand new. What ended up happening is when they received my receiver back from Tarjak out of New York, there was some damage to it. So instead of sending it back to Tarjak to have them re-cerakoted again, having me wait even longer for that, they went ahead and just sent me a brand new replacement. I really appreciate that a lot, and thank you so much, Benelli. Not sure that this is going to happen for everyone, but it definitely shows how great their customer service is. I just got done oiling the gun. You can probably see I may have put a little bit too much oil, but is there such a thing? I know this gun will not rust. I did think of something that someone may have asked, and probably going to be a question further on down the road. Since they did change the serial number on the receiver, this is a new receiver, my old serial number was tied to my name with the ATF, so what's the process of actually transferring that old receiver out of my name and the new serial number into my name? Well, you don't have to worry about it because Franchi and Benelli took care of all that. They already did all the paperwork with the ATF and registered this new serial number on the receiver to my name. So that's all taken care of. If anyone's wondering, was it worth the wait of 140 days to receive this back and get a pretty much brand new gun? To me it was. If you hunt every single month out of the year though, you might not want to wait that long. Again, the lead time on Franchi Benelli is supposed to be 45 days, so I'm sure they will get back to that after we get through COVID, but I am very happy with customer service that I received. And another thing to point out, when I keep saying Franchi Benelli, they are the same company pretty much. This is a Franchi gun, but you actually send it in, and Benelli does all the repair, the warranty work. So pretty much this is a Benelli gun. Has all the same almost internal components of the Super Black Eagle 3, that inertia system, minus we might be lacking a little bit of the ergonomics in that dampening system that is in the stock of the Super Black Eagle 3s. But that was just to kind of point that I wanted to point out. I'm going to throw the ShotKam on now, and we'll jump back into the video where I left off at. And with sending a new gun, they also sent, this is the same choke that was in my original barrel, but they did send 3 new choke tubes, new shim plates, new bolt handle in here. So I got an extra, pretty much I have an extra pair of 3 choke tubes. So now I'm at the point, we're going to go ahead and reassemble this. If you don't care to watch me reassemble this and maybe dig into a few of the other components here, make sure that they do still look new, the bolt's brand new. We're going to put the counterweight back here in the stock, take a look in there, and see if that looks brand new as well. So if you don't want to see that, feel free to stop watching the video. But if you want to see that kind of me digging into this gun as it comes back from the warranty process a little more, stay tuned. I'm going to jump right into it. I think I have all the tools that I want, but we're going to go ahead, remove this cap right here, and slide off the forearm. I wish I had a mat down here right now to be able to kind of work on, but I'm not going to wait for that. Let's go ahead and break the zip tie off. Again, pretty cool. They have a 7-year warranty on their products. Definitely one of the reasons that I ended up purchasing it. So we're going to slide this out, take a look at the bolt. Sure enough, it does look brand new. There is a little bit of powder on it, but that is probably from their test shot that they did. Let's go ahead and pull this out. Wow, this pin, I can definitely tell that this pin is brand new as well. So I used to be able to get mine out. Let me grab some needle nose real quick, and I'll be able to pull that out. No problem. So we'll grab the toolbox, and I have a pair of small needle nose pliers right here. Just going to kind of go in here. Very little force. Pop that out. That wasn't too bad. Stay. Alright, the firing pin again. If you watched my tear down cleaning video, you know, don't let this go flying across the room. Again, that pin is facing towards me, towards the back. A big question that people have. So we'll go ahead, get that out of there. See if it'll fall out if I wiggle it a little bit. Of course, because it's probably brand new and clean, we'll try grabbing it with the needle nose as well. Yep, sure enough. Slid right out of there, no problem. Now we'll pull this out. The chrome piece looks nice and clean. There's the new spring. So actually a decent amount of oil on all these components. You can see there. Again, like I mentioned before in the cleaning video that I did on this, make sure you don't use high viscosity oils, especially in colder climates in this area. You don't want that firing pin to have any hindrance in not having a little bit of that resistance, and that could be a matter of your shot going off your shell or not. And what if you got a nice banded Drake in the decoys and your gun doesn't go off? Alright, bolts all back together. That wasn't really all that interesting, nothing to really see there. Go ahead, pull this out the rest of the way. This black piece is really wedged in there that the bolt slides on. You can kind of tell that this is new as well. The choke plug in here, mine was getting a little bit dirty, and this little C-clip thing that holds the plug in, mine was getting a little bit scratched up from me using the tool on that to open and close it. We still have a nice orange follower down here. I'm glad they didn't change that. Definitely like that on the gun. But now we are to the point of actually assembling this. So, if I can remember how this gun goes together after having not taken it apart in over 140 days, that would be great. Things line up pretty well though. I kind of see it's a good spot for the bolt to go right in there. Before I go ahead and do that, I'm going to make sure that I have the bolt handle out that they sent kind of in the bag over here with the shims. So, new bolt handle. Set that down in there right now. Put the bolt in here. So now go ahead and slide this in. Insert that bolt handle. There was a couple people asking how to get the bolt handle off too, that they weren't able to get it off just by pulling it. And it is that tight, especially on a new gun, but you take it off, clean your gun a couple times, it will loosen up a little bit more. The only thing I could think of to use is maybe a pair of vice grips and a piece of rubber on here to pull it. I'm sure this is aluminum, so you don't want to scratch it. Part of the gun almost put back together. Pretty much our last piece is the barrel and the forearm and putting this back on here. This is a little interesting, kind of knowing where to put this onto this part, but actually it all I remember is this goes inside of the plastic piece, so must go like that. And now we'll go ahead, slide this in here. Like so. Give it a little wiggle. Make sure everything lines up nice and tight. Then we can just go ahead and thread on the plug. Still need to get my sling on this gun. There's a couple people, I don't know if you could say they were making fun of me, but they did not like the way that I had my sling. I had my sling pointed downwards so that the gun's always pointed at the ground. Maybe that comes from rifle hunting, that if you trip, at least the gun will go into the ground, not up in the air. If you trip, it could be pointed at someone. Especially when we're doing a lot of boat hunting, I would much rather have this gun pointed at the ground for that same reason. If it shoots a hole in the bottom of the boat and we start to sink, hey, I guess that's a little bit better than shooting my dad or my buddy. So that's the reason that I do that. Let's go ahead and check for function. Everything locks back nice. Let's check the bolt release. It's like that functions through nicely. Let's go ahead. We're on safe right now, so we'll advance that forward. Put it on fire. There's definitely no shell in here. I'm going to put it on fire and pull the trigger. Feels about the same. Newer gun, it might feel a little bit harder, but definitely a nice trigger pull. I'm going to have to go ahead and get some nice oil back all over this gun too. You can start to see how that bronze color starts to really come out in spots that are probably getting oil from my hands right now versus areas that are not having oil on them. Alright, last part. I'm going to go ahead, we'll take the butt plate off of this gun and we will see if the counterweight is in there. I doubt it is because I believe this is the same counterweight I sent into them. Looks like there's potentially a little bit of rust on it, so let's go ahead, pop this in here. For those of you watching, this might be a teardown video. There's 2 holes in here, and it's just a standard star screwdriver. There's just regular screws in here. Would have thought they would have used like an Allen head screw or something that maybe wouldn't strip as easily, but they did just use a normal standard screw. I guess if they start to strip out, you might go ahead and replace them with something else. Mine start to get pretty bad. I will probably go ahead and replace them with some nice stainless screws. So, almost got this one screw out, and I'll actually show you guys what these look like. I've never quite seen this before. Apparently there is a little tiny O-ring in there. I'm not even sure if the camera will focus on that, but it's a little rubber O-ring over the top of that. I'm not sure how much water that would possibly keep out of there, but maybe it will a little bit. This is the type of screw that's in there. So probably not focusing, but it is just a standard head screw, and it just threads right into the plastic on the butt plate. I guess not necessarily in the butt plate, but in the stock of the gun. Let me get the second screw out, and we'll take a look and see if there's that little rubber piece on this. Maybe they made a couple upgrades to kind of the components of this gun. So like I said before, you definitely want to make sure you spray some oil in where these screws are. They will rust pretty easily. Alright, we finally got the other one out, so that's where the other screw is. And if I pull the screwdriver out, no O-ring piece came out of this side, so not sure if it's still in there potentially. And here is the end stock of the gun. Let me take a look in here and see if this looks nice and new, or if it looks like my old gun. No, it is definitely a brand new stock as well. I could tell because mine was starting to get a little bit of rust down in here. Water can potentially get in here if your butt plate, through your butt plate here, if this doesn't make a nice tight seal. Could get a little bit of water in there. Tripped a couple times in the Marsh last year, and I definitely, what I do to kind of prevent that is I'll go get a little bit of oil. I'll actually do that right now and spray some Remington oil down in here before I go ahead and put the counterweight back in and then seal her up. So let me go grab that. Alright, so got the good old Remington oil. Definitely my favorite stuff to use. Let's go ahead and let's spray a little bit in here, and then we'll put this counterweight in. Just want to get some on the threads of that counterweight. So there's a little bit in there now on those threads. Now we'll go ahead and thread this in. I already have the wrench and extension out here for this. This is a 13 millimeter. There's a little bit of guesswork involved with this. You guys probably won't be able to see this very easily, but I'm going to go ahead and try to keep the gun sideways. Put this directly down in here and start threading it in. There was a lot of discussion from people as to, are you supposed to take the nut off that's down in here, that nut and lock washer, or can you go ahead and just thread the counterweight right on top of that? As you can see what I do, I just thread it right on top. It gets a couple threads. It's not like there's a lot of threads there, so you don't want to really torque it down and tighten it too much. It's not going to take much. This gun is not going to see much vibration in this stock. So that's all it needs right there. And the reason I don't remove that other nut and lock washer and just put on that spacer is because it's just going to add a little bit more weight to the butt of the gun. With the ShotKam on this end, balances that out a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and spray a little bit more Remington oil in here. At this point, really just want to coat that new, I want to keep calling it a spacer, but it's not a spacer, it's the counterweight. So got a nice coating on that. Have a little bit of Remington oil in here now. Should be preventing everything from rusting. While we're at it, let's go ahead and actually just spray these screws a little bit. Those thread into right here. So the stock in this area and this area, and they just thread right into that plastic. So don't really have a good area to spray those, but let me go ahead. We'll shove this other one through, and I will put this little O-ring back in there, or try to. Doesn't look like it wants to go in there, so maybe I'll try to do that after. But now that these are on here, let's go ahead and just spray them with a little Remington oil. Maybe prevent them from rusting a little bit as I thread them back into the stock. Set that into the gun down. There's a lot of people that were wondering why I sent the gun back with the Cerakote chipping. I'll maybe post a few pictures and maybe the video of what the Cerakote looked like before I sent it in. A lot of people were like, that just adds to the character of the gun, and why are you gonna baby your gun? It's gonna get abused out there in the marshes anyways. I like to keep my stuff new, as like I've said before. I have my Benelli Supernova. I know a lot of people that want to see a review on that. I've had that gun for probably 8 to 10 years. There's not even any scratches on it. The Cerakote on that gun is just phenomenal. That's why when I knew, when the Cerakote started chipping off this receiver, that there was something up. Cerakote is definitely a lot more durable than that. I know this burnt bronze coating might be a little bit different than the old regular black Cerakote that is on my Supernova, but I still expect it to be just as durable. So, pretty much have the butt of the gun threaded in, screwed all the way in. Again, I want to tighten this down decently because this is what is creating the watertight seal between the butt and the stock of this gun. So that feels nice and tight. And that feels nice and tight as well. So now, like I said, I want to spray a little bit of oil down there. So I'm gonna take the little straw, put it on the Remington oil. It's gonna be harder done than said because my hands are still slippery from this Remington oil. Alright, got it in there. Just going to stick it down in here. Spray a little bit, see how it comes out like that. That's what I want to see. That's not really a functional part of the gun, so more oil to me is better in there. Now that is nice and protected. I will try to reinsert this little O-ring off camera back in there. But I can actually probably put a little bit of oil on here and you can see how that changes the color of this gun. So there, and probably even more so able to see that here on this side, how dull it looks. Put a little oil on there and look at how that bronze color just comes right out in the gun. Looks phenomenal. Love this gun. Can't wait to get out there and use it again this season. Again, this is going to be the best season we've ever had yet this far. That's going to be a wrap on this video. It's been kind of a long one. If you stuck around the end, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Ask me any questions that you want. I make sure to read through all of them and definitely comment back to you. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Also make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next videos I will be posting, and leave your questions, comments, and suggestions below.